Hello, everyone. Hi, I'm Melissa. Today in my video, we're going to talk about the mental impact of grief. I'm feeling a little defeated right about now because I've already made a whole video, thought I was recording it and wasn't. So here we go again, part 2. And I don't know, it just seems to make me upset. These videos are hard enough to make. To have to repeat it is not fun. They're not. These videos in grief, they're not like a lot of the other videos on YouTube where they're staged, edited, cut out, the vloggings that they carry their cameras with them all day long and record their whole life all day and then cut out all the stuff and just show us the best, fun, good parts. And them videos are annoying, honestly. They really are, especially as a grieving parent. And so, yeah, these types of YouTube videos, those of us in grief and when we're talking about grief and stuff, we're real raw and vulnerable, pouring out emotions in front of a camera, and it's needless to say, it is disgustingly difficult to do it again. So bear with me, friends, as we do take 2 for me, for this. But, my other videos, I was talking a lot about the emotional impact of my grief. 4 years ago, my 2 youngest children were murdered by their oldest brother. Noah was 7 and Sophia age 5. And so it's been a lot. My husband was stabbed in his neck. He survived. But when death strikes, it knocks us senseless. It knocks us senseless, guys. We're stunned and we are reeling. I like to read. I do a lot of reading, and I like words. I do. I like words. And I hadn't used that word in a long, I don't know, maybe reeling, R-E-E-L-I-N-G. So I looked it up in the dictionary. And what's interesting, friends, is there the 3 main definitions for that word. The first one says to whirl or spin around, right? To be in a confused or dizzy state was the second one. And the third one was to fall back suddenly, as after being hit. That is my grief. That's how I'm in a dizzy state. I feel like my brain is whirling and spinning around. And I feel like I was just fall back suddenly after being hit real suddenly and real forcefully. Gasping for air, wondering what hit me. That's a good physical description of my grief of the last 4 years. My heart is shattered and emotions are leaking out all over the place. And that's why it makes it hard for me to even function in society, at my job, because my emotions are always leaking out. Yes, they are. They are. And while I'm riding this awful roller coaster of a nightmare, what I very quickly found out? That my mind is not what it used to be, friends. It is not what it used to be at all. At all. And I don't like it one bit. Where my brain has gone, the grief brain. I am often confused and frustrated. Confusion. That is part of the mental impact in grief, of traumatic loss, of loss, period. I forget things and I have trouble focusing. I do. I want to start a project. I have an idea for something and I go to start it and I'm not able to finish it, or it takes me a day or 2. I'm easily distracted and I just lose focus a lot. That's just bottom line. I lose focus, whether it's household chores, work. I just do. Even I lose focus even for good intentions. I have memory gaps. And I space out at times. A lot, actually. And these memory gaps, I really do not like those. I really dislike those, friends. The memory gaps, they'll be whether it's like from in the past or in the present, whether it's even in the same day or from yesterday. Memory gaps even in my day of what I've done. And then memory gaps with my children. I really dislike that. My mind feels dizzy, from the constant, relentless assault of all my unanswerable questions. My questions are unanswerable, you know? The brain in your mind is not meant to be shaken and moved all around. We know not to shake babies, and in football with head injuries and all that stuff, the brain is meant to be kept right there inside. And I feel like mine is shaken. It is moving in there. It's been shifted around. And when we do that, when we have permanent damage done already to people, when brain damage and shaking baby syndrome and that kind of stuff. Well, that's the best way I can feel like I can kind of describe, but physically feels like my brain is being moved in my skull and it's dizzy and spinning around, and it ain't supposed to do that. The mental and emotional stress can drive me to old negative behaviors and even some new ones too. Yeah, we got to be careful for that, friends, but that's just how that is. Unfortunately, it's such an mental and emotional stress. I really wonder. I truly wonder about my sanity, boy, at times, a lot of the times. Some of us grieving parents, we have suicidal thoughts. The death of a child plus two, and for my reality, 2 children, well, really 3. It's a mind-bending experience that doesn't end. Like I said, the mind ain't meant to be bent. It's not meant to be moved around and all of that stuff. It's not meant for that. And so I feel like my mind is bending. It's been bent in places, and it's not going to end as I live here without knowing Sophia. How do we survive this? How do we survive this? Wow. It's a powerful impact, the loss of Noah and Sophia, that it has on me mentally. It is a powerful mental impact on me to bury my 2 youngest children. It is natural and common to have these cognitive effects that most of us grieving parents experience. There are cognitive changes that are going on in our brains. I just wish you could understand that. I just wish some friends and family could understand that I'm not who I used to be. How can I? And how can I go back? Who I used to be was wrapped up in my 5 children and as a wife and mother and that whole life. And now it's altered, completely altered into a reality that I don't want and I don't like. But yet here it is. Here it is. Here it is. Oh, breathe deeply, Melissa. Breathe deeply. I might feel like I'm going crazy, but the chances are I'm not, because this is a natural response for me. A natural response for me to lose my children, for the murder of my children, for me to feel this way, for my mind to be so messed up and confused and different. I don't know which end is up. That's how I feel, friends. I don't know which end is up. There's a quote that C.S. Lewis that I wanted to read to you because it described the grief pretty good. He says, "For in grief, nothing stays put. One keeps on emerging from a phase, but it always reoccurs. Round and round. Everything repeats. Am I going in circles, or dare I hope I am on a spiral? But if a spiral, am I going up or down it?" I can agree with that with C.S. Lewis there. I wake up in the middle of the night, my thoughts are racing. They are racing in the middle of the night sometimes. My mind is all over the place. It's thinking, did that really happen? No, it couldn't have. Not Noah, not Sophia. They can't be gone. Not my mom or dad. I need to call my mom. I need to go check on my children. I need to go tuck them in. I need to see if they're okay. But I can't, because I'm not even in the same house anymore, and they're gone. They're gone. It's like I experience their murders over and over again, multiple times every day, especially those first 2 years I did. Now it's like a couple times a week, sometimes still re-experiencing. And and when I get hurt, or if I get injured, like I get cut at my job or stub my toe or I get a bruise, it's like I re-experience that trauma again, parts of it again. I think of my children and all these questions, all these unanswerable questions. I re-experience my mother's death, walking into her room, finding her unconsciousness. The losses just keep piling up, friends. Yeah, loss is confusing. It's confusing, and experiencing mental confusion and grief is natural and common, I believe, and it is for me. This is what feels natural for me, to be confused. To be confused. Loss has hit me on all fronts. The death of my children is confusing. I'm confused about how such a thing could happen. Truly, surely, it didn't have to be this way. It really didn't have to be this way. Certainly someone, somewhere, could have done something at some time to stop this from happening. I'm confused about what to think and how to feel. I'm confused about who I am now and how to live my life. How do I live on when my children are dead? I'm confused about all the changes that have occurred and are occurring. The losses just keep piling up. I bump into another source of pain with every step I take sometimes. My Noah, my Fifi girl are gone, and that changes everything. Everything. Why can't you understand that? Why can't some of my family understand that, and friends? That changes everything. It changes everything. I'm confused about other people and our relationships. Some people I have counted on have disappeared. Others act weird and all tentative around me, like my grief is some kind of contagious disease they're going to get. I can see it, I can smell it, I can feel it off of you. And so, I stop. If our grief as grieving parents makes you so uncomfortable, please stay away. Because your uncomfortableness is just flooding off of you onto us, and I can't handle it. I can't deal with your uncomfortableness. We just can't. And I think that's also another bizarre dynamic why it makes it so difficult in families, the loss of Noah and Sophia, because aunts and uncles lost their niece and nephew, grandparents lost their grandchildren, cousins lost their cousins. So, we're all grieving here, and it becomes like this one great big grieving competition. Who's grieving the most? Well, I'm grieving too, but then yet you're expecting these expectations from me, but I'm the mother. They were inside of me, and I gave birth to them, and then I buried them. So we need grace. You know what grace is? Undeserved kindness. But let me take it a step further and say extra grace, because I believe grieving parents deserve that kindness. To bury your own child. Why can't society, why can't our families and friends and communities extend just an ounce of a little bit more kindness towards us? Trying to understand that our brains aren't even sitting right inside our skulls. I am confused about how to deal with all of this in a healthy way. And so are obviously the other people in my relationships, because we're either broken up, not speaking, they stay away, and also I'm confused on including on how to be there for my other kids and family members. How do I be there for them? I'm confused about how to deal with that in a healthy way. How can I care for others when I can barely get out of bed? How do I support others who are grieving when my heart is shattered and in pieces all over the floor? It's only the grace of God, His love in me, that allows me to even do that. And there are many days where I just don't feel like I can do that. And those seem to be the days that I bump up against somebody else who needs me to not be that, and then our whole thing just falls apart. Yeah, it's painful, friends. This is painful. Just doing this video, re-saying all of this again a second time is painful. I'm confused about the future. How do I think about that? The future I expected and hoped for is gone. Whatever dreams I had, they're either crushed or they're so mangled up beyond recognition, especially for Malik. I expected and hoped for a future for my Noah and my Sophia. I expected them to go through school, finish high school, become adults, marry, not married, children, not children, didn't know, but I was never expecting to bury them, ever. That never occurred to me. The world as I know it, it is no longer. Why can't you understand that? The world that I know, it is no longer. We need you to understand that for us grieving parents. Yes, this is confusing. No wonder I'm confused. Life without my Fifi girl and my Noti Bodie, it is unimaginable. And yet here I am in my reality living the unimaginable. So I'm freaking confused. Even without Malik, it's unimaginable. Prison is unimaginable for him. I never imagined murder prison for him. Confusion is a part of this, and some things are never going to make sense. Evil is just never going to make sense, is it? Evil is never going to make sense. So I am required to walk out the remaining days of my life on this earth with questions that won't get answered. Some things will never make sense, and evil will never make sense. And that's my reality that I have to live with. This is pretty much impossible for me to swallow. Pretty much impossible for me to swallow. The reality of my life each day without Noah and Sophia. Yet I also still have a loving husband and two beautiful teenagers, great teenagers. So I'm confused. And my brain ain't right, and things are different. But the love of Jesus surrounds me and my family. His love doesn't fail us. He strengthens me. And He helps my brain. Because my brain is not what it used to be. It is not what it used to be, friends. So I just want to leave you with this. Let's have grace for the grieving parents. Extra grace. Dig somewhere in you and give it to them because they do deserve it. And our grief is so uncomfortable for you. I kindly ask you maybe then just stay away. Because it comes off of you. We smell it, see it, and feel it, and it's painful for us as grieving parents. It is. It is much so. Well, I'm sorry, brothers and sisters. I went so fast on this video. I am. I probably should have just waited another day and redid it again. But that's my brain, and it's the choice I've made, so this is how you got me. So, God bless you, friends, and I will see you next time.